Here, Nigel, thanks very much for joining us anyway.
Not a problem.
I suppose we need to do the introduction here.
You do the introduction. Oh, thanks very much. That's familiar.
And welcome to, I think it is the Soul the Scene podcast, is it?
Can I borrow a copy of that there? That's much jazzier than mine.
That was the most effort I have ever put into anything we've ever done on this show.
So the scene go large.
Yeah. So
was that blended into 2 Unlimited there? Yeah, very good. I just dated myself there.
Are you ready for this?
You're ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
There's MC Cooper here.
So like we've very little to be at, clearly, but it's a token of endearment that this podcast would not be here without our fellow podcast Reload. So
very flattered, but don't blow any smoke up my ass. You work away as normal.
Well, you're here. The smoke will be blowing in your direction the whole show. This is episode 34, and if you haven't worked it out already, our special guest, very special guest today is Nigel Lamont.
I'm special.
And obviously from GTI and from one of the organisers of Dubshed. What do you call yourself? The executive committee? Do you not have a fancy name for yourselves? You know, when you're lording it over the best.
I'd love to say we do, but we just sort of get on with things.
Yeah.
That's it.
So we're obviously here to talk about Dubshed because it is coming in 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Coming fast.
Yeah, which, like, if you haven't been, it's I'm going to set the tone here, but it's the best show, and it has been the best car show in Ireland for over a decade. When did you just start?
2010, minus a few years for the C word, you know.
So look, we'll get into that later because we want to hear a bit about what's happening this year and maybe talk about what the years you've had before and all the rest. But first of all, I think we'll just go around the table and see. We haven't met for. We're not as organised as you guys. See, you guys use what I call the Jerry Seinfeld method.
I missed last week recording, so just don't get too confident.
Yeah, no, but you keep it. You know, the Jerry Seinfeld method. He said that if he didn't write a joke every day and mark it off on the calendar, so you guys are every 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, we're pretty strict that way.
Yeah, we're not at all. We just
wing it.
We do wing.
That's good because it sort of surprises your listeners too. Ta-da! Here's an episode.
We just kind of hope we all turn up at the one place at the one time.
Surprised us. We're about to record. And it's like, Reload's just come out. It's like, and of course it has, because we're just badly organised and we don't expect, you know. So,
but we usually record at the weekend, and then Connor does his editing magic, and usually has it out for Tuesday night.
Yeah,
that's usually the plan.
Which is
to see people that do weekly episodes. Like proper content, you know, the research and all the rest of it. That's serious commitment, like, to do that.
It's huge. It gives you appreciation for. I always sort of look at people who then do YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And if they're knocking out a video a week, that's more than a full-time job.
And you can edit fairly quickly now, but the first few episodes, you know, we weren't sure what we could say, and there was probably a fair bit had to be pulled out. But
we didn't know how to set things up and all the rest. Yeah, hadn't a clue.
You watch something like Joe Rogan, he's doing like 3 or 4 hours, and the amount of editing involved, you know, to go out to like a large scale audience, like that must be crazy.
I don't know how Joe Rogan has the energy.
The Spotify,
well, that's true. The Spotify notifications, just every day there's 2 or 3 years going.
Yeah,
where does this man get the time? Because it's not an hour an episode. He's probably met somebody, talked to them for an hour or two. And spoke to them for 3 hours. Maybe went out for, I don't know, whatever.
Well, like we were talking about before we started recording there, we were talking about the local comedians and likes of Colin Geddes. You know, the amount of hours of content that he produces in a week, and Shane Todd and all the rest too. But that is a full time job for those guys, and that's much better.
Even when Geddes sits and does like his solo shows, when he just sits and talks shit for an hour, there's still a lot of work involved in what am I going to talk about now for the next half hour.
Yeah. But then you'd hear him talking to, is it Niall you call him, who does his editing and all the rest? And
I think he's another fella, Dave as well, Mexican Dave.
Yeah.
So I think he's actually 2 producers now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just to keep the content
keep it rolling,
coming out. But yeah, like the effort that goes into that. Never mind the effort that goes into. We'll touch on that later on, no doubt as well. Into actually producing somewhere that you have people coming in the door of a big building, and you have to fill it with interesting things.
There's lots of people like to say, just book it and people come.
Just
it's dead easy. There's no problem.
You've been reading your RMS threads as well, then.
Well, that's right. We have a forum to answer for, don't we? I know.
And there can't be enough said about a local forum. Forums have died. The forums are so important. So credit to you for keeping RMS going.
Oh, stop it.
So I'll blow some smoke up your ass again.
I'm choking here. I'm choking. I'm going to change the subject because it can't all be about amazing things that I do.
For a change,
like being down at Bishop's Court for the I was at Bishop's Court there last weekend before we were recording the Supercar Sunday event. We're doing the promo video for it. Sorry to change gears, but we'll come back to you. But,
all right.
But I have a list in front of me. I need to get through.
You crack on.
So a McLaren Senna, right?
Yeah.
First time I've seen one of them being used. But what a thing! Yeah. Just incredible. These like the 992 GT3. This whole what do you call it? The swan neck spoiler. Mm-hmm. Everything has that now. Everything has that overhung spoiler.
Overhung and curled around the back and everything. Yeah,
but
these are tucked away in Northern Ireland, obviously.
The stuff.
Yeah.
So I then we're also talking about comedians, and I was at the night of the Bishop's Court thing. I was at the Mandela Hall at Queen's, a comedy show with Shane Todd and Kieran Bartlett for Mysteries, and I was looking through my photos, just sitting waiting because I was early for the show, and this chap beside me says, "Is that an F40?" And I was like, "Yeah, seen it on the track today." It's like this F40 only has like 1,200 miles on it, and it was the ex Ferrari boss Formula One boss's car. Like,
it's like stunning. Rennis was sending me photographs through, and
so the stuff that's in Northern Ireland, and it came on a CCRS transporter along with the Dino. Mm-hmm. Like just the stuff that people have is just staggering. What I like about,
I think Ireland in general is like that. Not just supercars, cars. The passion in Ireland is unreal.
Yeah,
because you can go to any area in Ireland, and somebody will know somebody with something, whether it be a special rally car, classic Fords, whatever, race cars. They're tucked away and nobody knows about them.
Stuff tucked away ever. I always sit on here, when we're talking about supercars, that like where I work here, I see everything. There's Ferraris and all behind me at Hearst's, but the one car I've never seen on the road was a Honda NSX, one of the new ones. And then I was in Google Maps a while back looking for something outside Newry, trying to find a road, and I was using the Street View thing. And I was zooming past someone's house, and here's a brand new NSX in the driveway. Like, of all places to see it.
It feels totally disproportionate to the amount of people in the country, and all, the amount of cars and the car collections.
Yeah.
And I think as I've got older, and you sort of talk to more people, maybe like ourselves, who have a few more miles on the clock, and there's a few people who've done really well, and then you're like, a wee collection there of, what was in your collection? And there's like, it's deep into seven figures, and it's but it's everything from a SR Nova to a 812 Superfast, because that's the type of people people don't they remember where they came from as well,
it's
and
not just supercars.
It's like, I do have an E39 M5, and I do have this, that, and the other.
There's an automotive passion, so that passion was there when they were learning to drive, so that'll still be attached to them.
Totally, and so like that, and that's, I suppose, me being part of this event. It's sort of, I've got to meet some of these people that I never would have before, and most of all of them are just full petrol heads and have just grown up same way we have, but have just got ways and means which are just unbelievable.
It's definitely a different breed to the kind of the maybe the influencers or the lottery winners who come into money and suddenly have 10 supercars parked up, but nothing cheaper than a supercar.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really into driving in that way.
The influencers will be driving around Belfast city centre, making sure everybody's seen them.
Yeah, totally.
The other thing is too, in Ireland, just the levels of wealth compared, like when I go to shows down the South England, it's just different level of cars. So to have something like that over here makes it super special too.
Yeah, and to be used on the track, and what I love about I suppose another thing that, so I'm getting older, I'm a dad, right? So that's changed my whole perspective on things too. So when I get a day out to go to Dubshed or a day out to go to the track or something like that, it's not that I didn't appreciate it before, but I really do. I really appreciate it. And
I sort of took it for granted when you were younger.
Yeah, and in fact, because of RMS and all the rest, like I got sick of shows after a while because I was just going to so much for so many, years upon years upon years, and then I'm like, no, I'm going to go and do my own thing and go and do drifting and do whatever I want to do, and consciously not go to stuff. And I've sort of come full circle now, where I'm like, what's your event up in Macramorn? The Eurotreffin.
One of my favourites.
And I brought the Lotus to Eurotreffin, and I was standing and rubbing it down with probably an AChem product, actually.
Yeah.
I had to
Good
pay.
placement there, yeah.
Probably had to pay for it. Did I? Can't remember.
Nope.
No, you're a very generous man, Ross.
I am.
But
Ross probably had to pay for that mention.
And if I didn't, I will be.
there's an invoice in the way. And but I was standing there, so I was wiping the panels down and all the rest, and that reminded me of like being 17 or 18 in like the RDS or in in one of these shows like from years ago, and like you never lose that feeling of it was being
100% modified.
Yeah, or like it just brought that, and I was like, I friggin' love this, and chatting away to the guy who's cleaning his car beside you, and what stuff are you using, and tell me about this here, and
The difference now is usually you were dying from the night before.
well, that's true.
Now you're knee deep in nappies and bottles of milk.
And down. But anyway, that's how I felt about Eurotreffin. And that's another great show, which
Brilliant. It's like a upgraded Cars and Coffee.
Yeah,
Eurotreffin for me. It's just a really good social event.
I've waxed lyrical about it on here. It's the way you guys have got it done. It's just like a really nice, relaxed environment with nobody getting annoyed that there's loads of car people there. Like Castleman was fantastic. Lovely.
It's a closed venue.
But yeah, it's a closed venue.
Is somebody going to walk into it by mistake?
No.
If you're going to be there, it's because you're a car enthusiast.
It's because you're a car nut, yeah.
yeah.
But there's just the vibe. And Dubshed does the same thing for me, Nigel. It's not just as somebody who exhibits at it. The same vibe at Dubshed is just, like, it's very relaxed. It's just, people are cool and they're comfortable with each other, and there's just a lovely atmosphere at it. There has been the last few years.
Funny with some of the English guys that come over, they would say the same.
Yeah, there was two guys last year. There was the yellow and the blue Audi RS4s. One was an RS4, one was S4, and I've been in contact with those guys ever since because never met them before. We got talking at the show, got a bit of stuff off me, and they bought since a few times. But you just get talking to people, and it's just that it's car people being car people.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to all these shows. I'm looking forward to seeing a pile of supercars out. That's the great thing. And this is why I actually love Goodwood. You've been to Goodwood
twice,
Nigel. So I'm actually.
I had a disaster last year.
Did you?
The weather thing. Did you hear about that?
Oh, that's right. The Saturday was called off. That's right.
We flew out. We were meant to fly out on the Thursday night. EasyJet cancelled, and then we were meant to fly out on the Saturday night home.
Uh-huh.
So we had tickets for Friday and Saturday. So they cancelled the flight on the Thursday, and Robin, who was organising the flights, turned around and said, "We can get an early flight on the Thursday morning." So right, okay, we'll do that then.
Mm-hmm.
So that man went drinking around Portsmouth on the Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Which is for a port town is fantastic. It's proper university town, Portsmouth.
We ended up at a rum bar.
Uh-huh.
It was happy hour for 4 hours.
Flip.
So that went well.
Right.
No, but they cancelled the Saturday because of the wind in the tents or whatever it is.
That's right.
But no, Goodwood's amazing.
Yeah, but anyway, it's stuff being used live when you're at a. It's having that mix. And you've done the live stuff before as well. Did you fly any live stuff at Dubshed this year?
What do you mean live?
As in, like, we've done like a rally stuff. Remember, you did the.
Something new. You'll talk about that.
Brilliant. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but yeah. So I love that aspect about having a show where you can actually see stuff being used. That's why I love Goodwood. That's why I love the Bishop's Court thing, because the Bishop's Court thing will be these collections of stuff that people never really see brought out and used in anger. Like, I was out in track with those guys, and I, to be honest, thought I would go and push some of them around, which we did a wee bit. But mostly everyone's just absolutely, they're going as hard as possible, you know. And can we do 180 mile an hour down the back straight at Bishop's Court? Yeah, that's the sort of stuff they're at. You know what I mean? And it's unreal. So
good for them, though. That's what they're built for.
And then just like your events, Nigel, then you can actually see the stuff. You know, the cars are brought into the pits, and you come around it, and you have it, because that's you want to see out in the track, but you want to see around it, and that's why I love Goodwood as well, because it's the pinnacle of that.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're putting an event on, it's all right saying, right, we'll park some cars up, but you have to have stuff to engage people too, and relate to the people, and that's what we'll try to do. And you have to change it up and make it different, and you know, otherwise things go stale really quick.
I also think that if I'm at a show that's just massive, it's just sometimes it's immediately overwhelming. It's like I don't even know where do I start? You know, so then if you do a bit and then you hear engine noise and you're like, that's why it's an EV event. If you're going to say we're doing an EV event this year, I don't know if it's going to work because no one will hear that.
Sorry, they put Star Wars effects on them.
Loudest twine.
So because you hear something, then it's like, right, I'll go outside and see that, and then you're coming back and you go in a different way. You go into a different building or a different hall or something like that, and you see something totally different. Not just and you have a big date and all that. Just and you meet people, and you have to see him, and
you have to see you.
Yeah.
EV conversions be interesting. Remember at the classic show we seen. Like there was Range Rovers with batteries fitted, and a couple of the Jaguar E-types were converted to EV, stuff like that kind of grabs your attention.
But it's very expensive. That
it
stuff.
is, yeah.
Oh,
much of it about.
Like you look at that and go, oh, that's cool, and then you look, oh, it's how much?
Yeah,
you know?
That's very much a resto mod thing. I don't think anybody would take it on as a personal project.
Like I think they put one I was following, the camper van. They put, was it Tesla motors in it? And if you floored it too hard, just done burnouts, just because it's instant power with EV.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Jimmy Oliver famously had one of the Volkswagen camper vans, and they had a Porsche 911 turbo engine?
I think Clarkson took it around the track or something, something like that. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm looking forward to the Bishop's Court
What
event.
date's that again? That's the last weekend in July.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So
I'll be able to go to it this year. I'm usually on holiday.
no,
this year.
it's well worth going to. They do a thing on the Saturday up at the pits, Northwest 200, and then all day Sunday at the. And I maybe talked about it before. We did a convoy. I talked about this in the podcast before. We did a convoy from Lisburn to all like 40 or 50 supercars with a police escort.
Class.
Unreal. Yeah. Absolutely unreal.
We had it last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I must have missed you. I think Phil went with the TVR, the Cerbera.
Yeah.
And I went with him.
Sure, I was in the commentary box with a microphone.
That's why I missed you. Hobnobbing.
You'll hear my voice.
Yeah, I remember now, actually.
It's PTSD. You just tuned it out.
You up in the box with Plum Tyndall, were you?
No, I was up in the box.
Lording over everyone.
It was good.
Look at my minions. Listen to my voice.
I don't know. So, loads of fun. I've some slightly more sombre news, though. I've got the C63 is up for sale. So I know.
Saw it.
Yeah.
Saw time.
It's going to go.
And I think you'd actually sell it. You've been talking about it for a few podcasts now.
I know I have,
I thought it was just playing this guy.
Yeah,
is that 6.3?
No, it's a 4-litre twin turbo.
4-litre twin turbo.
There's
a lot of outrage about the latest one. It's like a 2-litre.
The basically put the AMG
hybrid.
845 inch.
120 grand for a 4-pot.
Yeah.
It's a hard sell.
So no, I have a long roof navy blue, dark blue state car, which is just the most undercover Q car. It's unreal. Like it is absolutely unreal.
Did you ever go to Ben Lawrence runs the Straightliners events? And it was
no, we didn't. Never.
Well, do you remember the Southern Rage AMG estate, like an E?
I do, yes.
That thing could boogie. I don't think that was standard.
It definitely wasn't. But that's all we're talking. We're not talking anything else because we've made it now, Nigel, about 5 shows where we haven't had to talk about this fucking GR Yaris.
We had Ben Lawrence on the show.
And now you've just started him again.
Ben was telling us all about doing the Straightliners events, and he said to Ross and I, "You guys must come along." And then we started for many shows. We had a bit of banter backwards and forwards. Ross is bringing the Z46 M3. I bring my GR Yaris. And
because Matt Watson car out on the drag race, and I was like, "There's no way they can't be right."
So Ross goes and fits 4-3,
4-1 diff,
a 4-1 final drive in his and all for the drag race. No, he really wasn't playing the game, and
slicks on it, was it? Tire pressures?
No, although somebody was walking around checking his tire pressures before it.
Of course it was. But anyway, I had actually thought, I was like, "There's no way I'm going to let him beat me." I was going to get the Yaris mapped, and I completely forgot all about it. And I was like, "Oh crap! I'm at Bishop's Court tomorrow for drag racing."
Yeah,
and it was a fairly conclusive answer, wasn't it, Ross?
It was. Somebody was able to launch, and somebody wasn't. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
I know who was able to launch.
Yeah.
Second gear, we were starting to pull back in. And then, do you know something, as we said, the best bit about it was because after the straight line, then you have to go around the drag circuit. Or not the drag circuit, the drift circuit to go back. So
we both got a bit of sliding on.
Both of us were going like hooligans, full sideways the whole way. So.
But a wee Yaris, absolutely flipping, see you later.
Just launched.
Half the cylinders, half the engine size.
Bye-bye.
Twice the embarrassment.
Twice the big head.
And he hasn't let it down since. It's great.
I took my Craddock Turbo to that and just couldn't get grip first or second at all. It was a waste of time.
But it's good fun.
Oh, aye.
But again, what we were saying there, Nigel, and when we came back from it, most cars nowadays with launch control, there's no skill in it. Like left foot in the brake,
forward.
right foot in the hard pedal, then let go. And it's how quick you can let go because it does everything else.
Didn't have launch control in the Yaris.
You had 4-wheel drive and half the weight. I'm still not letting them get away with it.
There's always an excuse.
There's always an excuse.
Yeah. Other great
Put the
events.
Lotus up against it.
No problem. No problem.
When's the first event?
Well, there is. Ben has gone. I've got something in my notes about so Ben's running everything in St Angelo's this year. Bishop's Court have been bought over by another company. The same guys who do the Bishop's Court drifting have bought over the rights to do the drag racing there, and they're bringing in another team to come and do it. So it's all like they're kind of working with each other and that there. But Ben is putting all his attention up in St Angelo's because he's trying to obviously get a longer track and get top speed drag cars and that there. And so
you can do full length.
Yeah. So he's concentrating all his efforts in there. But Bishop's Court will be running for drag events as well, but just not with straight liners.
Here, speaking of that type of genre of event, Santa Pod, what a place too. It's incredible. Like.
It's underwater at the moment.
Is it?
They cancelled the event for this weekend.
Flip me. Glad we're not getting that weather.
Sorry, everybody went quiet there.
That was.
They put a thing up this morning. I didn't read it properly. Sorry, but basically the event they're massive, so they have big campsites and all. They're all flooded at the moment.
Wow.
It's basically rained since last June and hasn't stopped. So
because the camping thing, that's a huge part of the big English events as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Deutsche Collective, we had to cancel it last year because of the rain.
Yeah.
See, if it's Glastonbury or something, you can get away with it, but not a car event.
I don't know if you get away with it, Glastonbury.
You've seen it's muddy as hell. People just go hell for the other.
Well, at the last Deutsche Collective, remember we were at it, and we were looking down, and there was just the big long field, and we're like, "Wouldn't you love to?" Just see, could you drift it the whole way down and back up again?
It's a serious big front field.
It's
like
huge,
half a mile long.
Yeah.
But that's another. That Scarva House is a lovely.
Oh, it's brilliant
place as well. Again, just a lovely backdrop. And again, you're there. If you're there for the show, you're not going to get passing people. You know how to pick them. Nigel.
There's good and bad points about that place. One of the worst points is the entrance is right on the corner. Like that's a real dangerous place. You come around a corner and the entrance is there. I think it would be a really good place for a well-run Cars and Coffee. Just putting it out there.
There you are. That'll be Andy's next venture.
I have no time for any ventures. I don't get involved generally in Cars and Coffees or events or anything. Like I just like doing this, like doing the website.
There could be Cars and Coffee up at the place.
Blackheath.
Blackheath
is see their toasties. Unreal.
Andy Totten keeps sending me to go up to it.
Yeah.
Sunday or
No,
something.
there was one on last Sunday, was it?
Yeah, it was either last week or the week before.
Yeah, it was the same day as I was at Bishop's Court. It was on.
Where is it?
It is
Blackheath Pottery place. It's
South of Limon Valley, I think. Isn't it?
yeah. It's sort of like Coleraine, Acadoo, flipping that whatever that up that type of neck of the woods. Anyway,
God's country.
Sir.
Bible Belt, sir.
So, but no, the Blackheath is and it's always unusual stuff comes up there.
Yeah.
You know, so you can get a like a E38 series will turn up on a flipping 959 and a.
The only thing is, and there's somebody needs to kind of budge a wee bit on it. It's normally run the same days as the Cars and Coffee in Dundalk, which splits a lot of people about which one we're going to go to, because both of them are pulling in, large audiences from all around the place.
I would say the Blackheath one's a lot more intimate event, whereas Dundalk is like it's huge.
Yeah.
It's the numbers at Dundalk would be much bigger. Two different types of things. I haven't been down to the Dundalk one in ages, but it seems to be flat out.
The run to Mexico.
Get a tank full.
There's a few.
Get a thimble full in the Lotus. Yeah. So I don't know how, but gutting news about getting rid of the C63. But I'm all in with flipping solar and EV and all that sort of stuff for the daily.
So nothing to replace it. Just
no, it'll be a Model 3 probably.
Okay.
So, but
any sniffs yet?
No, I literally advertised it last night. So early days yet. It'll take about 13. It's a bit of an odd thing to sell. I think maybe like a it's a family car which has nearly 500 horse, rear drive. There's a diff. You know what I mean?
And it has a man in the same circumstances.
Baby seat in the back. It has a dog. It has a built-in dog flipping thing and all in the back. And all for like.
You're sounding like Chris Harris here.
It's just it is a perfect family wagon but a lot of the time it spends most of its life under 1500 RPM because I'm singing the wheels on the bus go round and round. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And creeping along.
Defeats the purpose, really.
Yeah. And it really is silly quick. Nothing needs to be, but at the end of a motorway slip lane, nothing needs to fill 80% of the clock. Do you know what I mean? It's rather silly. So, but it's great. It is great, and it does 20 to the gallon.
Ish.
On a long run.
I used to have a C5 RS6, so that would be 2003. I had it for about a year and a half. And just a different delivery of power altogether to like the 2-litre turbo bang.
Yeah.
It's just like a waft of just sheer power.
The V10 or the V8?
V8, 4-litre twin
V10
turbo.
was one after it, wasn't it?
Yeah, that would be they said it's a Lambo engine, but it wasn't really.
It was detuned a bit, wasn't it? Or different.
There's a rumour it was a Lambo engine, and I don't know. I watched different videos, and some say it is, and some say it isn't. Don't know.
It's probably,
When did Audi buy Lamborghini? Was it the time that the R8 came out, 2006 or something like that?
Probably loosely based on it or something, or maybe the block is the same or something like that.
But people think always pushed. It's the detuned Lambo, but I think it's a fairly well removed from it. But has its roots. My
old man has the 850 CSI, as you know, it's been in many shows over the years, but it has the BMW V12, which about 500 million evolutions later made it in the McLaren F1. But once he heard this,
McLaren engine.
Everyone's selling McLaren F1 engine in that car.
No, the RS6 it was mapped and had a Miltech on it. I bought it. It was a London car all its days and could trade into Honda in Boucher Road. Mates of a mechanic in there. He says, Nigel, trade price in this here. Do you want to come and have a look at it?
Class.
I went straight down it. Right. Phoned the insurance company. It was only like £100 more than the current GTI, and I went, okay, let's go for that then.
That'll do.
And it didn't even manage 20 mile a gallon.
Yeah.
But seeing motorways, just burble along 110.
Yeah.
No bother. Yeah.
Why did you get rid of it in the end?
I didn't find it a terribly engaging driving thing. Like not all Audis, but just it felt like a big cumbersome yacht with a jet strapped to the back of it. It was totally awesome, but I like a good nimble car. That's why I like GTIs. I don't know, but
I think that was always a complaint, wasn't it? Until
they're a bit
RS4, the B7 RS4 came out, and they sort of said it was the first really engaging driving one.
Like it was the auto box and just on a motorway it was fantastic.
Yeah.
But down where I lived, didn't really.
Yeah.
Do you know what? And you'll get this because you've had one of these. driving the C63 is like driving a GSI Carlton on steroids. That's all I can describe.
I had 2 Carltons.
Yeah. You know,
They are so much fun.
They are brilliant.
Goodness.
They are brilliant. What a car.
They were like a lazy man's drift car. They're so easy to throw about.
Yep.
And so comfortable and fun. Yeah.
They were great, and you can't buy them now. Amigas are the same.
Because they're all T-Met.
I know, they're all rotten. Ththey were. I had maybe 3 or 4 of them.
You had a few.
Yeah, but
you need the 24 valve in them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
To get the space in them. Like.
Yeah, to rev a bit. But yeah, so that's it. Reminded when I drove it, and I thought, it has that style of, it's a wee bit Mercedes and stuff, but then it's
hooliganish, but
it's also fire breathing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it wants to be more sideways than straight. 99%. It's the sort of thing it will happily flash the light up to and over or big numbers over 3 figures.
Mercedes in general, the AMG cars have always been like that.
Mm-hmm.
You watch the Top Gears with Eric Clarkson just laughing at the traction light control.
Yeah.
There seemed to be no control.
Yeah, or just turn it off.
The muscle cars of Europe, really. Weren't
Yeah,
they? They were just
that's it.
big beasts of things.
Yeah, so no, it's I've loved owning it, but it's just one of those things. It has
Time to say bye-bye.
And here, it's first world problems. I've got the Lotus, and funnily enough, you were saying about the swell of torque, and I was driving the Lotus, and I was like, I'm supposed to give this thing a bit more revs here.
Yeah,
it's like because the Daily has more horsepower and more torque.
It's just a different delivery of power altogether.
Yeah, but there's something.
It's doing the work for you. You don't have to do the work to get the power. It's just there's the power. Just a nice handshake of power. There you go.
And but driving something lighter and nimble is ultimately a more satisfying thing. I think
it's definitely more rewarding.
Yeah, especially down a back road. Like so. To tell us about your. Is it your Daily? You have a Club Sport.
I have a new Daily.
Right. Okay.
I bought another Mark 5.
All right. Okay. Another GTI.
I'm like addicted to them. My Club Sport is my weekend car, among a few. But I bought the Club Sport at Dubshed last year off Mark.
It is absolutely beautiful. So I had a good look around it at up in Macklemore and at the Blue Circle Club, and the wingbacks in the tartan and the Alcantara steering wheel, and it's everything that needed tweaked. With it's a Mark 7 or is a Mark 7.5?
7.
So it's Mark. So Mark 7 Golf.
It's 8 year old now.
But it's
that's mental in my head.
It's crazy.
It's all the wee tweaks that make it a real driver's car. It's like taking that sort of like Civic Type R formula, isn't it, and applying that type of approach over an ordinary GTI.
I've had several Mark 5 GTIs, Edition 30s. I think Edition 30s are just such a good value for money car, especially if you spend a bit of money and do the right mods and all the rest of it. I had a good grey one, and I went a bit silly and went the still static, slam it on the ground with the 19s and all the rest, and took the driving out of it. Sold it, bought another Edition 30 DSG. Just couldn't warm to the DSG. I always liked the manual car. And at the same time, I was sort of, if I sell this, I've a few cars in my collection, and if I sell this and sell this, I've always wanted a Club Sport. Just the reviews on them, people I know that have had them. Just the Mark 7 is a real good chassis. I always thought the Mark 5, it's hard to beat. The Mark 5 for me is like a knife, and the Mark 7 in the proper format, the Club Sport, is a scalpel. It's just so much more refined with the E-diff, the sharper handling, everything that's the handling package in it now. It's fantastic. And then the Fire Golf R engine into it, just for the crack.
Now they came, because I remember Mark had that kind of, it was like the weird overboost thing.
Yeah.
Which gave it, what was like an extra 20 or 30 horsepower, was it?
They're meant to be standard 260 something, I think they're meant to be, and then that overboost takes them to 285 or something. It's just a software thing.
Can that be overridden?
It is.
Oh, it is?
That's probably one of the first things I've done.
Yeah.
So it's now around 350, 360.
Oh, right, okay. That's quite
spicy,
as you say.
But it's also, yours is one of the very last 3-door Golfs ever made, wasn't it?
Yeah, because TCR was the 7.5.
Yeah.
I think they did have a few.
There was a couple of
very,
early
very
ones.
rare. I think there's a tuning company in England have a 3-door TCR, but they're more or less, you can't get them.
Yeah.
And can you do TCR in manual? Can you?
No.
No.
So that was the end of the 3-door manuals, really.
Yeah.
How nice is it to row? Now, I don't know if you have many autos in the house, but my wife was an EV, and the Merc 7-speed auto, and I was coming down today. Lovely to row manual, 3 pedals.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's such a well, not now for me because I haven't been driving the Lotus over the winter. It's it's nice to get back and roll the
almost like
gears.
learn it again, yeah.
Yeah, as I said, yourself and Gary are down here, and your X5 is obviously 8-speed ZF. In fact, and Gary's 7-speed DCT,
yep.
7-speed DCT. Like it is, there's something to be said for poking your own, like for sure. But that car is just peak golf.
It ticked the boxes for me, but to go back to what I was saying, I knew what I wanted. Wanted a white one, a 3-door, wingbacks, and that
Those
Onyx
wingbacks
white.
are unreal.
And I think it was 20 what year is it now? It's 24, 23. September 22, Mark put up, look what I've got. And I went, you bollocks. That's my dream car there.
Yeah.
And I never seen the car again, basically, I think, until Dubshed.
Until Dubshed.
And I just sold the Distant 30 because I wasn't feeling it. And I had a Corrado VR6 for about 10 years that was turbo converted and stuff. I had it at the show, and I was trying to maybe think about moving in on it. Sort of met the end of the road with it. I just didn't enjoy driving it anymore, and just hadn't the patience for it. And big thumbs up. So Dubshed last year then. It's last year, it's 24 now. Mark drove in, says, "You're a bollocks." I says to him, "You've got my dream car there." And he turns around and says, "You want to buy it?" And I says, "Aye, very funny." He says, "No, I think I'll sell it." And I went straight over to the Corrado, put a for sale sign on it.
Because he came over to me and he said, "Could you give me a lift home?" And I goes, "Why? Did you get indoor?" He goes, "No, Nigel's maybe take my car home."
So I went and put a for sale sign in the Corrado, and there's 2 guys basically followed out over the weekend to buy it. And that's how I ended up with Club Sport and really enjoying it.
I'll turn my mic off. That would that's a good start. And that's because I was stuffing my face with toffee crisp there.
Very good buns here. If anybody's looking to be a guest, the bun is very good.
Yeah, well, I
Buns are
was
very
just
I
taking.
thought Gethin was coming down and that's if we needed the Doogie's goodies for Gethin.
good. That's a low dig. That's a low dig.
Man's not here to defend himself.
Jeepers, oh.
I was gonna ask what. Obviously, a huge amount of golf loyalty. What makes you stick, or what made you stick with that? Because I'm not really loyal,
Right.
anyway. So that's not on me.
I think I've talked about this before on our podcast. Right, when I think you're affected when you're different people work different way, but there's a lot of people that are affected what cars are like in their formative years, like they're a teenager or whatever. My brother, when he's grown up, my dad was into Fords. Mark's into Fords. And then my dad jumped ship into Volkswagen GTIs then when I started to become a teenager. And that's always stuck to me that I found the Golfs better than the Fords. But my brother always stuck with the Fords. Now he daily drives a Golf R now.
Yeah.
But he's always had fag cars about him. But a combination of that, like I was definitely going to get an air-cooled Beetle when I was 17, 18. I thought they were great and all the rest of it. And then the reality of it, having to drive one, weld it and all the rest of it soon shook me, and I got a Polo Coupe AS. But combine that with the Club GTI days, there was great monthly meets and all the rest of it, and went to events like that. And once you put your flag to something, it's hard to,
Yeah.
that's just the way I've sort of grew into cars. Like,
Aye, so it's a family, and then there was the something you could
friends group,
yeah, and something you can actually get into when you're you can buy a 1.4 CL or whatever it is when you're young, because you can actually afford to get it with the aspirations of getting to the GTD or whatever.
It's just a strange affliction to have, I suppose, the Volkswagen, the VAG thing. But I completely understand there if people have grown up going to car parks or whatever, and their friends all have different cars. People just like different things and all the rest of it. It's just because I was sort of square boxed into that make or brand.
Yeah.
The Golf is one of a few cars too. There's a lineage there about the Honda Civics, because Vauxhall Cavaliers are gone, Ford Sierras are gone, but Golfs are still going on multiple generations. So you can have one, your dad could have had one 2 generations older, and so on and so forth. So the name carries a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Well, like Volkswagen have played off that whole, the closing of the door that closes like a Golf type approach for years.
The other thing is too, my very first car was a Fiesta, and I had it for about 2 years, and I soon became very aware that Fords rusted very quickly, and the ones I had were quite unreliable, and that stuck in my head. And then the first Volkswagen I got to wouldn't rust for quite some time and was easy to work on for me. So that sort of swayed me a bit too, I'm sure there's people going, you're talking crap, but just that was my experience at the time.
I always, when I was growing up, my impression of a Golf was that was a premium car. We had...
It was marketed.
But that's why
remember the 80s advert, the earring, this squeaky earring and all that.
Oh yeah, and the guy's trying to work out what the
noise is. There's an advert of an Astra GT and a Volkswagen Golf with traffic lights, the 0 to 60 and who cares or something like that.
Yeah.
I never quite got them, but then I'd only really driven maybe 1.4 or something out there. It's kind of very bog standard, supermarket Golf. And then my dad and his garage took in a GTA Carman edition. 812, I think it was convertible, and I took it out for a full weekend, went down to Portrush all around the back roads, and I just loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, just the way it drove, it was a punchy kind of engine for, at the time.
The Volkswagens were never, the Astra GTs and GSIs, they were always faster.
Yeah.
They were never going to be the fastest car. It was just, I don't know, it's just the whole package.
It's just
sort of worked
a connection kind of driving it, yet you felt more.
Just a feeling of quality and... good chassis and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's funny then. I then think about childhood memories of I remember when I was at school and I was getting left home with a girl who lived near us, and her dad had just got a brand new Mark IV Golf, like a 1.6L, but it was in that blue that they came in, and it had the blue clocks and it had those headlights, fantastic looking, just futuristic, almost stunning when the Mark IV came out. Although the GTI and all didn't really win many hearts, especially the 2-litre one. But I remember that car itself. I was blown away. I was like, this thing's just unreal. Have you seen the blue clocks on it? Have you seen? Yeah. It was class.
Yeah, that was before I had a Mark IV GT TDI, and I loved it. It was just, for me, it was everything I wanted a car. It was black. It was, again, the first car that I can properly modified instead of just dicking about with things. It had a nice set of wheels on it. Coilovers, and then I got Suter to build a sound system off it back in the day, and it was just, again, as you said, it was like the blue and red lights on the inside, and even when you put the heated seats on, it was just click, 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 click. It was just, I loved it. It was a brilliant car.
Do you know what the other thing was? It was the real kickstart to the performance diesel. Remember, if any of those letters were red, you were the flipping top dog.
I was just sitting thinking of that when you're talking about Mark IVs. I remember in the mid-90s, you had the sort of 306D turbo came out, and it was mind-blowing.
Oh, yeah.
If you had a D Turbo S back in the day, he's doing well, And then it evolved, then the Mark IV TDI came out, and had a red eye on it. And you could tune it. And
What I remember of those was the Auto Trader ads every Thursday. Someone would be selling one, but they aired red eye, but they obviously thought that was EYE. Pink eye, like a disease. Golf red eye.
Unbelievable. I know. But that's what, and I suppose that's where those things come from. Thinking about why you would see people driving the Port now in a 3 clicks 306D turbo, but it's maybe because their dad had one. Maybe they were conceived in the back of one.
And here, that's a 25-year-old car they're driving about in there.
Yep.
Yeah. As I was coming up here the night, I met, there was a wee 106 coming to me, and it was like that blaze orange colour, and it just made me think back. Literally, as I was coming up, there was one of my good friend back in the day, and he had a 306D turbo with a full Cossie kit, and it was that blaze. It was gold, but it was the blaze yellow colour.
That was a lovely
the
colour.
golden wonder colour.
Beautiful car. Beautiful
There's
car.
Miami blue, then the red on it, and then that.
And that
the
one.
Phase 2 was the gold,
Yes.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
The Phase 2. Look at me, I'm a Peugeot knowledge.
Peugeot. Peugeot, sir.
But they had those cool seats. Remember the fabric seats? But it was like a kind of camouflage design on it.
Yeah.
And do you remember it was like down with the gear knob was you had like the wee keypad to you couldn't steal it.
Was that not a Citroen thing? Or maybe that was a Peugeot thing as well?
I think that was Peugeot and Citroen. I think it was an insurance get around sort of thing to try and make it more insurable. But my friend does car transport. He's saying now, like, he gets to see what's coming into the country from the auctions in England and all the rest of it, second-hand stuff. And, like, he's saying now they're bringing in 406s to flat out. So they've wrecked or ruined all the 306s. Now the 406s are going to be...
I remember those two, 2.1 on them. I thought at the time, felt like a rocket. First
they were a quick car.
That's right. Went really well.
They flipping did go well, because a fella from Cumber I knew had one. And I tell you what, it flipping.
They were sharp.
Yeah.
The guy who Willie, who would build my engines for my drift car and for my previous for the Skyline, he had Mr. Kennedy had a 360 turbo 2.1. She was the rod. I remember driving it. It was class. Yeah. It was absolutely class. It was some reek, but it went well.
Brilliant.
It did. So yeah, now back to you. No red DIs in your collection then back in the day, or was it all petrol stuff?
I had, what did I have over the years? It was mostly petrol, but it did dabble my toes at a Vento TDI that was slammed. It lasted about 6 months, and then I had a Mark II I bought out of England with a PD conversion.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
So it was an anniversary 150 with a bit of tweaking. It was a rabbit car, but it was through together. It was just rough. It was a 10-yard car or whatever they call it. It looks shiny, and then you get close.
Nice from afar, but far from nice.
The very same. I bought it for a bit of crack. I did Recaros and stuff, but it had been badly put together. Like, it had a Mark IV wiring loom sitting under the rear bench and stuff, and the Mark IV clocks put in the cluster, but just sort of with brackets.
Oh,
it's a bit dodge, but it had good suspension on it. Good tyres, good wheels on it. And it was a lot of fun. It surprised a lot of people.
So,
one of my favourite cars, before I forget, was a Mark II Caddy. Do you remember this? The VR6 one?
VR6 Caddy? Mark II?
Black one.
I'm sure I've seen it.
That's like an 87.
Rings a bell.
I had one of them for about a year. It was a lot of fun. It surprised a lot of people.
Yeah,
There's a real good engine in it too, and it was hilarious. Had a straight pipe on it, so it just sounded like thunder. Sorry, that's not talking about TDI.
No, but
I divulge.
Yeah, but I'm interested in hearing about because it's great too that of course we're all as sad as each other. We get excited about stuff now, even decades later. Yeah. We're still what the thing. When did you?
Just sorry, I'm going on a tangent again there. Like the way cars are going in 20 years' time, will your children look back on electric cars with such joy?
Definitely not. No.
Well, I see a problem in that.
Well, maybe not for the same reasons.
Yeah.
They remember.
Or will they appreciate maybe something you have in the garage even more than they should because of what's happening?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I like to still hope I'm going to have everything. All the daily and commodity stuff will be EV, and it'll just be like the fridge. It'll be Zanussi appliance type stuff. But I hope I'll still have something track car, Lotus, whatever, Porsche, flipping 3 Series with a back seat stripped out of it and put a pair of slicks in the back of it.
Your 10-year-old growing up and you have a Tesla. So let's say you sell the C63 and then you buy a Tesla, and then 30 years they've got a Tesla, but they're looking back saying, remember the Tesla you used to have to drive yourself? It'll be that kind of thing.
Do you remember it took half an hour to charge? Oh my goodness.
You could only do 200 miles in it.
What will happen is they'll bundle out the door, they'll step into whatever the car is, half awake, eating your breakfast, and then beyond flipping looking at TikTok if it still exists.
Why would they get in the car with a teleport like Star Trek?
Well, exactly. So, but you know what I mean? Like the whole experience of having the car and all the fun, or you think about things that make memories with the cars, like breaking down, going and buying a new one, hearing it, going to a rally, going to all these events that sort of, all those touch points and connections won't be there with the new stuff.
There's also an issue that they're chatting now that the whole model of owning a car isn't going to happen. you're just going to hire them or purchase them, or you'll call for a car and it'll come to you and you'll pay for it and all a bit. So you won't have any kind of emotional or personal investment at all in it. It'll just be like a bus.
Yeah, but I suppose we will. It really depends. Can that translate in, because it's easier to translate what we went through. So you're saying, you're in a Mark 1 or a Mark 2 Golf back in the 70s, 80s, whatever it is, and then 20 years later, that can still be the case 30 years later. Whereas in 30 years' time,
would you be allowed to drive them?
Well, I don't know if the brands won't be there in the same way they are now, because we're seeing a huge change, and the legacy brands are in trouble. If you look at the EVs that come from Volkswagen first and what's coming from China, well, the Chinese are taking over.
We talked about this in the last podcast. Vauxhall, for example, don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, I know.
They're flailing.
I think there's a big disconnect coming now. In the past, you connected with a brand because of stuff they're doing in a rally or stuff they're doing here, whereas now it's moving towards it's just a form of transport for a lot of people. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a large majority that still want a certain car, a certain performance and all the rest of it, but I think it's moving slowly. It's just a form of transport becoming.
There's definitely a shift, when you put me on Elon Musk's book.
Yes.
And that's what he foresees definitely in the future. There's self-driving cars that you call and they come to you and they take you where you want to go, and that's it. And there's no driving for enjoyment, which is ironic, because his first car was a McLaren F1 when he made a bit of money.
Yeah.
So he obviously enjoys driving.
And then he stuffed it.
Yeah.
Funnily, he owns a car company, so he would say that.
Yeah, I'd say that. But yeah, it's going that direction. And as you say, you can see it happening. But that's why it's a good thing that you're having these kinds of shows and things, because that's still acting as a focal point for people who are interested in this, and it's a hobby and to get into it.
You think a city like London, there's becoming little point to have a car.
Yeah.
Because of ULEZ?
Because of everything. Traffic, the whole...
Yeah.
But then London, well, some people disagree, has an infrastructure for public transport. But that'll maybe work there. But outside that, you need a car.
Mm-hmm. Then in Northern Ireland, you need a car 100%. The public transport.
You've got that government input as well, putting you off cars, like you say, ULEZ and stuff like that there. So it's not just a lack of.
We live in a country where our international airport doesn't have a railway connection.
Yeah, that's true. That I know we're just,
and even the city,
mad.
Even the city airport where I work, the railway connection, you have to walk half a mile down to the bridge and walk across. Right. On the side of a dual carriage.
Do you ever sit in a bypass and you see the poor buggers towing their suitcases down their side?
People come up and go, "Where's the train?" And I go, "Just get a taxi."
It's running late. Be here in about 4 years.
So you're big into Volkswagen. I suppose maybe in a similar sort of way. I was big into Honda because of probably yourself, Gary, is one of my big influences, because I remember you take me out.
You bought mine.
I bought yours, but I remember you taking me out in your VTI Civic when I was like 19, and I was like, "Oh, I am VTEC.
Yeah,
sign me up."
I turned up my first Civic at 8, so that's where I got it from.
And a year later, but it didn't have a VTEC. The VTEC
was a 1 litre engine, and it didn't go beyond any fields. But
guilty pleasure, I had a Honda in my life.
Oh, no.
A CRX for about a year.
Oh, they were great. Yeah.
I bought not a VTEC, a 1616 valve.
Mm-hmm. Which is still a great going thing.
But there used to be the argument, is the VTEC actually better than the 16 or not?
I found the 16 valve better.
Yeah, people used to say this, that even though it's on paper down in horsepower, they preferred it.
My friend had a VTEC at the time, and I bought it off. A woman had it from new. She lived 2 miles down the road from me. Now the arches needed repaired, typical CRX stuff, and got it good money. And I remember driving and going, "This thing moves like." And a friend had a CRX VTEC, and there wasn't a lot in it.
No,
for all the bells and whistles.
Yeah,
and like I like the way the 16 valve was sort of subtle, and the sort of car you can make look very good very quickly.
Yeah. I think the torque figure for engines wasn't that different. So, when you get it up and the gears, it's only really in that kind of upper reaches the rev range that you're seeing the difference.
But the rev counter, the wee sort of like Austin Rover style rev counter in them, revving around to 8. Unbelievable. Famous person who owned a Honda CRX, Jada Pinkett Smith.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Famous?
Infamous. So, but I had an EF VT, so I had the wee box-shaped Civic VTEC, basically the same car, but a bread van. Or more of a bread van. CRX was kind of a bread van too, was it?
No, the EF would be a bread
EF
van.
was definitely a bread van. but I loved it too.
Yeah.
You can always wipe out a 325i Sports were easy pickings, like back in the day.
You look at a CRX actually, and you look now at a Cybertruck, and you can see some of the hardies there now. They were so triangular,
styling cues.
Yeah, 80 styling cues.
They were cool looking wee car. They really were.
I found like Volkswagen, as I've said many times, but I thought there was nothing looked as well as Celestial Blue CRX lowered on a set of nice wheels, just
on EG Civic Fat 5 wheels.
And I loved the one that came out after it. Remember the Trans Top?
Oh yeah, the Costa del Sol.
Up to Mark 3.
Guy had one of them there. He modified from Bangor.
Who's the guy up? Used to chin cars and back there. He had a lovely black one. You would know, Mandy.
Oh, don't ask me now.
Simon, was it?
Oh, Simon
Martin.
Simon Martin had one, yes.
He had a really nice one.
turbocharged
With kit on it and stuff. Yeah,
He has Skyline stuff.
beautiful.
Simon, if you're listening, and I know you sometimes do, I do want you on the show.
That man could talk a few
We
tales,
have
I would say.
if things to say. We want to hear them. And I remember when I bought, so I had my Corolla, and then I bought your Civic, and I thought I had made it. What was there a Volkswagen that you thought, right, I have bought something properly quick, and you were maybe like 18 or 19. What was the one that you bought? Was there what was your first GTI or your first VR6 or
The first GTI was a Mark II 5-door.
right? Okay,
Who did I buy it off? Boy Martin from, where's he from? Was he called Rain Direction?
8 or 16 valve,
Club, 8 valve.
8 valve, small bumpers.
And I was moving from a Polo Coupe AS, which is like, oh no, it was a Polo Coupe GT. Now they were a decent going wee car. They were 75 brake. Like in the late 90s, that was alright.
Yeah.
A bit of fun. And then I got the opportunity to buy a GTI, and the insurance wasn't too bad on it. And I thought it was
And
good
what
going
was
for
a 115 brake or something like that?
115, 113, 115. They
Yeah.
out, like. But
So I bet you, and the way I felt when I bought your
Christmas
VTEC,
morning. Was it Christmas morning?
I thought I had made it. I had arrived.
I didn't care. It was a 5-door. I was just like, I've got a GTI. This is class. And I put suspension in it. As FA, 5 spokes. I love the As FAs.
Yeah. Oh, they're
Fantastic.
I remember being, what was the corridor place in Belfast, up near Conswater, Iceman, and the Mark II always just
No,
sit-
Cartronics.
Was it Cartronics?
Iceman was Bangor.
What must be Cartronics? Was it Cartronics? then?
Cartronics is Albridge Road. Conswater.
Aye, and I remember it was. Was it Paul Houston's Mark II Golf?
Yeah.
Always used to sit in there.
They used to have sound offs. Remember they used to have sound offs in the industrial estate?
Yeah.
They had officials from I forget the name.
Ayahuasca. Ayahuasca. Yeah.
That's right. Remember it.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fancy drink or health supplement, so it does.
Government
give
body.
us a cup of ayahuasca there. Huh?
Yeah. Bad
Put
stomach.
hairs in your
Bad
chest.
stomach. Aye. But yeah, so I remember funny where the cars that I grew up with, and the Mark II was always like, if you had a Mark II 16 valve
Oh, aye, you were
big bumper, you were someone. Yeah. And then whatever after that. So I'm sure as time went. So you were talking earlier on. You had the C5 RS6. What else was in the back catalogue?
The line. I have a bad memory, but I went from the 5-door, and then I got a really nice 3-door. No, I got a really like a roughish 3-door red one. Drove it for a year, and then I got a good white one, which I kept, a 3-door. I daily drove it for about 6 or 7 years. But in between them, I was wild for classic insurance. Once I turned 25, you could always put a car on limited mileage classic insurance. So I had Corrados and all sorts of different GTIs and different things over the years. But generally, I daily drove a GTI.
The Corrados were beautiful. Remember, I drove Pablo's one once, the VR6. That's the first and only time I've ever driven one, but the sound of it was just immense.
Yeah, I would love a late spec, completely standard VR6 Corrado.
Yeah.
The red one I had, which I eventually turbocharged, put air right in, all the usual carry on. It was a real standard, good, low mileage car. The engine came out, it was very, very good. And I just went too far with it, but I would like a late spec one, but now they're just mental money.
Like everything now.
I bought that red one. Now, what year would that have been? 2005 or 6? I paid $3,000 for it.
A lot more than that now.
Yeah. But no, Mark II GTIs, and then 2010 I bought what do you call them off RMS?
What did you buy?
A black 3-door GTI. That was a big step for me to get into Mark V GTI. I was 3-year-old GTI.
3-year-old, okay.
He's on the forum. He lives out in Nana Hill.
Was that an anniversary then, was it?
No.
No.
It was just a normal KO3. Edition 30 came much later. I kept that Mark V GTI for probably 5 or 6 years, and then I had various Edition 30s and stuff after that. But then I had wee cars that sort of bought and sold as well.
We were talking earlier about the GSI cartons and stuff like that.
Well, that was much earlier than that. That was the mid-2000s, but I always liked to be able to jump in a different car and all. At one point, I think I had 3 or 4 different insurance policies. It was just getting mental, trying to keep up with insurance, tax, and I'm just robbing Peter to pay Paul here, just working my ass off for nothing.
Just needed a trade policy.
I'm stupid. I was till this day, I don't know why I didn't do it. You know.
And that was back in the day. So you had the Club GTI meets back in the day. I remember one of the very early meets I used to go to was up at the Chimney Corner.
Chimney Corner, yeah. It's now a relocation hotel, or whatever you call it. What do they call them hotels?
Oh, yeah.
Refugee. Whatever.
All right.
Home away from home.
Yeah.
From home. Before
they get moved from Chimney Corner to Coors Corner. No, I'm not one of them many a year.
Yeah, but there used to be track days back then. I remember.
Brilliant.
They were.
See, that was
beautiful.
before track skills.
Mm-hmm.
We ran them track days, and I don't know if I'm saying out of place here. I think Kirkins sort of went, "They're well popular here. We should run something like that." Next thing, track skills started, and we didn't get dates.
I'm
not bitter about it, but
imagine owning a track and then going, "Oh, track days!
Look at the amount of people they have coming here.
There's cars out in the tarmac. We're missing a trick here."
It was very slow and gradual. We can't get the dates like we used to. Like we used to have 5-6 dates a year, and all of a sudden, we can give you a date at the arse end of the year, and that was basically right. You're done. But so to be honest with you, it was a lot of work to run one of them track days. So these things are meant to be, and Donald and the team do a really good job.
They do
fantastically run event.
Yeah, and really, when you look back, because we're now feels like miles in the future, but not really that much longer. You got into then, I'm sure, thinking about running a big show at the King's Hall.
Yeah, well, the club days, we sort of run Castlewellan for many a year. And then it was Gethin, actually. He jumped on board, and shortly after, he sort of went, "I have an idea here." Because his farming background and working for John Deere and all the rest of it, he had contacts and the likes of Balmoral Show and all the rest of it, and he approached them saying, "Could we hire out some sort of facility at the back of the hall?" And there's it's an old cattle shed area that is now built over now. It was the shed, and hence where Dubshed name came from.
All right. Always wondered that.
Yeah. So Dubs is short term for Volkswagens, obviously, and it was in a shed. I remember one night trying to think of a name, and I think that's where in the early hours we sort of went, "Yeah, that'll do. Well, it's stuck."
It's a brilliant name.
It is.
It's just perfect. Yeah. I was thinking about that too. It's like what's in a name.
We had talked about maybe changing it, because we have changed the format of the show, and it is still a core Volkswagen show, but it's now expanded and much more. But I think it's much more than the name itself now. It's just an event, and it doesn't really matter what the name is, really.
Yeah, because and when did you start bringing in cars that weren't part of the VAG fraternity?
I think it was through when Adam started to get heavily involved at ILB Drivers Club. He wanted to do a non-VAG zone or something like that. We sort of, that sounds good. And it sort of evolved from there, and the demand for it was there to be seen. And with moving up to the Icon, just astronomical costs, and it's just a combination of different things, and we just sort of think we can make this show really appeal to everybody rather than just the German scene. And it has worked because people from all people that love all brands now seem to want to come. The non-VAG entries every year now are absolutely amazing compared to what they were at the start.
Well, I think as well, for non-VAG owners going to Dubshed, probably thinking, "I wish we had something like this," and being able to then be part of it is just a great thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The problem is, I think, there is a big following up north, but it's bigger down south. And I don't think drift games do them events, but that's like a live motorsport event more than anything. There is a niche there if somebody could do it.
Yeah.
It's just who's going to do it. And down south, it's a world of problems with car events compared to up here. Like, it's just, you run a car event down south, you're just a messer or something like that. You know, it's just a different, like, guys that come to our show, they run shows down south, and it's very, very hard to get venues because you look down on if you're on a car event or a modified car event.
Yeah.
It's a very, very different field down there to do a show like that.
It didn't used to always be like that too, because we used to have RDS and the
There's a lot of events down around Dublin.
the big showgrounds and all that sort of
I
stuff.
think they tried to revive them, but it didn't work or something there a few years ago. No, I think there was something tried to be
There
run.
was a lot of carrying on at those events. I remember that. Maybe that's what affected it in the end.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot of complaints and things. But
And then there's the core of the problem, not the problem, but the core is it takes an awful lot of money to put an event on.
yeah,
And if you're jumping in for the first time, it's a big jump. You know,
and you're not guaranteed. You know what kind of footfall you're going to get.
flip of the
You're not
coin.
guaranteed now either, but you know,
No.
maybe but you have an idea.
It's 3 weeks of the show, and I'm just hoping people turn up.
Aye. So I know, but you can look at your last couple of years, and it's gone well. I'm sure you know, and it gives you a
Yeah,
bit
but
of
as
an
I say,
educated
you
guess.
can't rest on your laurels, and you have
No.
to keep,
Keep the quality up.
Yeah, that's the way you. And like a big problem, just on a side note for us, is now that the cost of the RIC now is just mental, and that's affecting guys that used to come, and they're now there's still the hardcore guys that just love coming to Dubshed for the weekend. But that's affecting guys that, no, sorry, I can go to a European show for a fraction of the price.
Yeah. Well, the ferry cost is just a joke. It really is. It's unfair.
Yeah,
It really is unfair.
and nobody will do anything about it.
No, there seems to be no appetite. It seems to be there's actually plenty of profit to be made out of the RIC.
It's like the train to the airport. You know, they're just making it as difficult to get over here and travel about as they can. It's not
I
helping.
had the laugh back in October. I worked down at the Belfast City Airport, and there was a private chartered A320 came in from Stockholm, something like that there. And I watched it land.
It's probably Phil D.
That's Stenline, right? That was a Stenline AGM trip. They chartered a A320
You're
over
joking?
for AGM in Belfast. Probably because it's one of the most successful channels of water for them.
Oh, absolutely. Gold
And I was just
plated.
sitting there going, any chance, like, you know?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, the show this year, what's coming? Is there anything you can tell us about what can we expect this year?
Yeah, there's real good high quality standard entries of cars this year. We've done the selection day back at the start of March and really pleased with the entries. We try to switch things up, and when you go to one of our events, we like to have different areas where you can do different things and interact with stuff, and we try to put stuff on for kids as well, because if you don't do that stuff, people will walk around an hour or two and just go, what was that all about? So, you know, we like to look at it. You can come in and you can spend 4 or 5 hours, you know, if you've got the time to come and look at it. And there's also the entertainment factor, so several areas. There's the usual stuff we have, but this year, one of the new things we're doing, last year we had the rally track. So this year, do you remember we've done the Monster Energy stages?
It was fantastic.
So we're not doing that. Damn. But we're kind of doing that. So the fella behind that, he has started his own venture. It's called Drift Taxi. So we're going to have basically a drift track, and you queue up and you go out and you do basically a run around it here. Drifting.
Brilliant.
Flat to the mat, sir.
This is like the Dubshed version of Ring Taxi.
Yeah, very well.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be class.
Brilliant.
So yeah, something different, and we're going to try it and see how it goes, and I'm really looking forward to it, because Andy, the fella that's behind it, he's so professional and he knows how to run a proper event. So good to have him on board and doing the stuff.
Cracker.
So it is.
That'll be good crack. And that's, you know, something a bit different for someone who would, you know, you see drifting all the time, but a nice safe place to do it. Part of your day, you know,
Here.
build it in.
You're not just watching the drifting, you're in the drifting.
Yeah.
That's the way you look at that there.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Well, that'll be great crack. So it would. What are the drifting in?
Well, I'm not too sure, but I think there's 8 cars there.
Oh, right, okay. So there's going to be a selection of stuff.
Yeah, and there's some local guys doing it too.
Class.
Hopefully Carlton. Hopefully a Carlton.
Have to put a special request in.
Exactly, we want a GSI Carlton there, so would I?
How many cars are you going to have at the show this year? Do you have your rough idea yet?
Indoor, we usually have upwards of 250 to 260.
Mm-hmm.
Then outdoors, there's a good few hundred outdoors.
Yes, a lot to get round.
Yeah.
Good.
Which is brilliant, because you always,
that's what you want.
even in the car park as well. It's always, you park up, and if it's really busy, if you arrive really busy time, you're quite far away. But that's all right, because you've loads of stuff. You've loads of great stuff to see before you even get in the door.
Yeah. I think it's great to have it over a weekend, but that has its own problem in itself, because there's people there maybe just they don't want to have their car over there for the weekend or whatever. So you're maybe missing out on that type of thing too. But it is what it is.
That's always been the case as well too. You have to commit. To the 2 days.
Yeah.
And look, for all the people doing the show as well, I'm sure there's lots of wee groups of there's stuff being organised, and people are staying in the same hotels, staying with each other, and there's all that crap.
There's a hardcore Scottish ones. Like we go to a show each year in Edinburgh called Clean Fest, run by Keep It Clean guys, and it was Ross was talking about the yellow and blue Audis.
Yes,
well, they're part of the Keep It Clean guys, and there's a core of them guys, and they all come over in cars, fly over, whatever. And we actually have a stand at Clean Fest every year, and there's Scottish people coming up to us, chatting. Like, we're handing out flyers and selling a wee bit of merch, whatever. And they're sitting there going, we love coming to your show, we love coming to your show. And it's amazing to go to Edinburgh, and people are going, we go to your show. No. So that's pretty cool. Like,
but do they stay in Lisburn or stay in Belfast or something, do they? Or
everywhere. Airbnbs, most of them come over. And that's the way to look at it if you are going to come over. Think of it as a weekend away, as much as a car show.
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, Belfast is a bloody good night out.
Belfast is, I was thinking exactly the same thing. Phenomenal. Amazing food, great places to go and have a drink, plenty to see, plenty of bit of culture if you want it.
My birthday every year, that's what I do. Night in the hotel, a few drinks, dinner. I was out there a few weeks ago for my birthday. Stayed in Europa, got a good deal ages ago on a night in the Europa. Went to Sticks and Stones for a steak.
Oh, took it yourself.
Done a bit of pub crawl. Lovely. So,
hard to beat. Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, well, and that is, and I know it's expensive, which is a pain, because getting on a ferry, I love it. It feels like an adventure.
Yeah.
I wrote an article in RMS one time, I remember, about, I think it was when I was way buying can't remember what I was buying, but it was just the feeling of, it was like your own Top Gear adventure.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
The rite of passage, or
exactly.
To buy something.
But it is. It's like, it's more than a trip away. It's like a wee adventure with your mates. You know what I mean? So that's the best thing about shows. But here, I'm looking forward to getting down this year.
Yeah. Well, forgot to mention, we also have like a fully immersive race simulators coming.
Oh, class!
Awesome. They're like 360. Yeah. With a pair of them machines coming as well. So should be good.
We saw. Where did we see? What did we see? One at the Classic show the year before last.
Yeah.
It was like set up like it looked like a Ferrari F1 car, but it was a rig, and then you get into it, and the whole thing moved around. But yeah, really, really impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a local guy has these simulators. He actually came to Dubshed in 2014 with them, and I got in contact with him there at the start of the year. So he's coming. So
a queue of kids for that, I'm sure, and adults.
Well, that's it. Like, you have to keep people entertained.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see what your awards are like this year, because was it last year you did the
Digifidge dash?
Yeah, which is now it was, and is that a Mark II?
Yeah.
Dash, yeah. Because
it's kind of like the Carlton GSI dash.
Yes, yeah.
Remember Digifizz dashes were they're making a fortune now, basically. You know, I think they're £1,500 for Digifizz dash.
So it was back. I remember some Renaults had them. Was it I think probably one of the earliest things that had a dash like that was it maybe the original Audi Quattro had you could get a Digi dash, and that was like early. Yeah. You see, that just
GT Astra had the same one as the Carlton, didn't it?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
No, I can't give too much away about the trophies.
Yes, all I can say is you know your audience. You know your audience for sure. I was like, those awards are class.
I think last year was sort of, I'm not saying we peaked with the trophy. It was just like, where do you go after that?
Oh, unbelievable! I can't remember saw them. I was like, what? These are amazing.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Really cool.
Like Brian at Short Shift Design, like he's just the G. He is the man. When it comes to stuff like that.
Stuff like that.
We're very, very lucky to have Brian to help us out with that stuff.
It's just really, really cool. So class, so then after Dubshed,
I lay in dark room for 2 weeks.
and then when you get out of your dark room, getting ready for the summer show.
Yeah, so usually the first Saturday in July we have Eurotreffen at the Blue Circle Sailing Club. It's a German car show, and then we had started to do Dodge Collective as our season closer, but we need solid ground, so we're back to Titanic Dubs there in 2023, and I think we're going to stick with Titanic Dubs.
Yeah. And again,
Titanic Dubs, the turnout this year was brilliant.
Like for a show that had to be turned around in super short time, didn't it?
Yeah. But that's all down to Brian Lowery, who runs the distillery down there. Mm-hmm. He's no problem, mate. No problem, mate. No problem. It's never a problem for Brian.
Aye, but it also like you couldn't do it without the following that you look after. You do look after people like people looking after. Oh, no, will I go to the show? Not going to show. Like
the thing is for me, and Gethin feels the same. I'm sure. Like I feel a serious sense of responsibility now.
Yeah,
that if I don't do this, like I'm sure somebody else would come and try to do something and all the rest of it, but just I feel responsible. It's like a child almost now, and you have to look after it and make sure it's okay and all the rest of it. And I know it sounds weird, but I've been doing this for that long. It feels strange if I didn't. There's some days I go, what am I doing this for? And then you do the show and people are like, that was class. Not that you're looking for congratulations or anything. It's just you feel like you've done a good job and brought people together and stuff like that.
I think too, it's a bit like we're talking about the Supercar thing. You're not just on it for the image or the money. You're on because you're around the cars yourself, and you've been to shows and you want to appreciate a good show and you want to do that same thing for other people.
The only thing I wish is I could go as the Dubshed as a spectator. That's the thing. I think somebody said to me a couple of years ago, do you not wish you could go as a spectator
when you retire?
Yeah. Well, my son's 19 now. There you go.
That's all yours.
He does a podcast too.
He does he?
He's doing
chip off the old block
broadcast degree at Queen's there.
Oh, very good.
Him and 4 people are doing a podcast.
Dubson. Good input. There you go.
Yeah, well, look, no, you definitely do need to be congratulated for it. People do not realise, listening to this, if we go to the Dubshed, even the last 10 years, you don't realise what it was like when there wasn't that show there.
Yeah.
There was a period sort of after the max power time, but before Dubshed.
There was a lull.
Well, there was frig all.
Yeah.
And it was not good. People
didn't know what to do.
The whole scene was just very unhappy.
It was disorganised.
Yeah.
Like 2010, we hired that hall out and got a bit of the outdoor car park, and I think we had something like 80 cars inside and 100 outside, and then it grew next year. Third year went crazy, and then fourth year was just mental. Mm-hmm. And when I look back at that now, it's ultra mental compared to year 4. But the show isn't anything without people coming to it. Like it's all right saying, organise a show, but if the people don't come, you don't have a show. Simple as that. So you have to make sure you put on a good show. And
well, by the sounds of it, that's not a problem. People do want to come. When you're saying you have to do shortlisting, that seems like a massive exercise because you seem to get a huge amount of entries.
There were 700 entries this year.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Would you say most of them are Northern Irish based or south of Ireland or abroad? Or
we done a customer.
Abroad, I mean.
We done a spectator customer survey in 2019, and I think just over 50% were from down south when it came to Dubshed. Maybe slightly more entries. There's a good mix. Probably 10 to 20%. Probably 10% would be Scotland and England. Big following down south, but yeah, there's a lot of northern cars. Yeah.
I about 10 years ago tried to, maybe more than that, tried to start a forum for the south. One of the big forums, which Gary and I remember, Octane.ie. Like we were members there from the start and from
day one,
and for the previous forum, Eamon O'Brien.
Eamon O'Brien was the guy that owned it, and then his original forum was just his name, Eamon O'Brien.ie, and then he built Octane.ie, which was a more focused car forum.
Yeah. Sorry, long story long. No, long story long. I thought, right, I'll start, because then the guys had no forum, did nothing.
Yeah.
So I started a forum, but it didn't work. It just didn't work. And then someone else started another forum down there, which had a lot less work put into it, but it just didn't click. And so, like, what you've done there by able to having that sort of diverse audience, like, that's not a given at all in you know, in bridging that gap.
There is a big VAG forum down south, autostat.ie. Now, it would be a big German forum down south.
I was doing, like, it was IR driver that I had started. It's just a generalist forum, like on RMS for the south, because that's what Octane was, and there was this gap. But you know, so you're maybe saying, well, there is a big following of VAG down south anyway that you've sort of tapped into.
Yeah, there is and there isn't. The VAG scene isn't as strong as it used to be. There's no doubt about that. The Jap scene is just dominant, but then it's his own worst enemy, because the price of stuff, I'm sure you've talked about this before, the price of stuff's just been pushed through the roof. So that's pushing the younger guy out of the market. Yeah. So where does that leave the younger guy? You know, where does it leave him? You know, what's he meant to buy? What's he meant to drive if he's in the cars?
Yeah, they're very restricted. Well, and for they always sort of have been. But I don't know if there used to be, loopholes, not the right word, but was that what drove the importing of lots of what we would consider like more niche stuff? You know, niche Japanese 1600 VTEC stuff that we would never get because they could tax it or, you know, insure it, where they couldn't do like a...
At a time, yeah, there was the thing that, you know, your Jap imports were 25-30% cheaper than the UK variant by the time you got it over here, but then I think that changed over time. Then it became more about you're finding the really kind of rare models over there that you can't get here, and they're bringing over Type R Subarus and R34 Skylions, things like that there, and then you're finding now that the cars are bringing over from there are actually more expensive because they're so rare and unique.
And the Americans are swallowing them up now.
Starting off, yeah, it was seen as a cheaper way to get in the market.
Yeah, the 25-year rules really changing up things massively.
The Skylines are just going straight to the sand, like. Just a thought when you were talking about the Jap stuff there. What an era we lived through of the Jap imports through Dublin Port. The stuff that used to come in, it was mental. And it was so cheap. Yeah. You just pass your test. I'm going to drive a Starlet Turbo. Yep. Because it's an insurance dodge.
Yeah, exactly. So stuff like that there. Yeah,
the boys down south were all driving flipping 200 brake Starlet Turbo because the insurance companies down south didn't know what it was, so it was just a Starlet.
276 horsepower RX-7. It's a 1.3.
Exactly.
It's mental.
And £200 a year insurance. No problem. Yeah. And no one had a clue what a rotary engine is or why it's a 1.3.
I don't know if you follow Juicebox. Neil from Juicebox.
I've seen some of their stuff.
He talks about it continually. Like, we don't understand what we lived through. Guys sort of around our age, the end of the 90s, into the 2000s, the stuff that was brought into this country was just incredible. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. Graham's of Saintfield.
Graham's of Saintfield, there we go.
What was the place in Banbridge?
I'm just looking there. I keep seeing these guys advertising all the time. Torque GT, they're still going strong.
Yeah. They bring in Jap VAG imports now. They bring in R36s, Gulf R's and all.
That's a big thing. Square plated European stuff.
There's a load of Mark 6 Gulf R's just brought into this country in the last year.
I went on to Pistonheads, must be a couple of years ago, but I remember looking at one of these weekends, you take a notion of something, a 147 GTA, and of 10 listed, about 6 were Japanese imports. That suddenly somebody's clicked that you can get them from Japan, these Italian cars, and bring them over.
Yep.
You know.
No, Torque GT, they brought a load of W8 Passats, Gulf R's, and real special stuff they brought over.
They're going to go a long time, but they do seem to specialise in kind of rare models, low mileage.
Yeah.
We'll stick a link to it in the chat.
Yeah, we'll stick a link in the chat. So Gary's we're
out there. Spec 270k.
So we're looking at a Bayside Blue. Scroll back up, a Bayside Blue R34 GTR. Alex, absolutely gorgeous on what are those big Nismo rims or Volt Racing rims or something like £170,000.
It was one of them at Dubshed last year. Tenzo stand.
Unreal. They are stunning. But they're right up our Strasse, aren't they?
Oh yeah, 100%.
just the original Gran Turismo cars, aren't they?
Beautiful.
Absolutely class. But
But the imports are still going strong in some areas.
Yeah.
And there's another thing. Gran Turismo influences massively.
Yep.
Need for Speed and Gran Turismo.
Sega Rally and
Sega Rally.
Yeah.
Remember Sega Rally in the arcades in Newcastle and Port Rush?
What's in the first things you do when you get on the ferry? You go and have an overpriced dinner and then spit a Sega Rally and a pint.
Yeah.
I have to say the dinners in Stena have improved greatly in the last 20 years. It used to be absolutely horrible.
For the money you're paying now, it should be.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you know what? They did a fantastic deal, a car club deal, just before COVID on RMS. And or a whole pile
Day return.
They returned for like £39 or something like that there.
The club special.
Club special.
Because we done it twice. And then they just died off.
It was brilliant. There was a whole pile of us. And we just, where are you going? Don't even know where I'm going. We just went. And it doesn't matter.
I don't understand, because I used to work in the docks, and there is times a year where Stena is quiet. So why not they just turn around and go, here boys, do you fancy this? Just to get a few people.
Sell the space. Yeah.
Like the run we done, you have just enough time to maybe do a 6-hour drive or something like that before you have to get back down again.
Yep.
That's you getting in around plenty anywhere.
It's just a bit of a lack of imagination now. There's not really pushing people to go and do that kind of thing.
Yeah. But if you worked at Clever, what you could do is, if they were doing it on a Thursday, book 2 Thursdays.
We know where you're going with this.
And you have a week in Scotland. Oh, that was a long day, wasn't it?
Didn't see you in your return journey last Thursday. You missed it by a week. Oh, very good, very good. Well, we're Nigel. Thanks very much for coming on.
No problem. Sorry if I waffled and bored people.
No, that's
you
what it's all about.
didn't get through your list there. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine to get through the list, all that, and that's great because I never normally have a list. But
The list is right for when we run out of things to talk about. So
yeah.
All right.
So we can talk
Get a
about
waffler
it.
like me on. You're flying.
We can talk about it next time. It's also great to have you here because you have the Reload podcast. It's great. I listen to every single episode. It's also strange because I normally listen to you in my car and you're actually not in my car and I'm looking at you. Which is
full stereo vision.
Yeah, which is great. But
it's a funny old podcast because there's people from all over Ireland listen to us, and then with Connor and Lee being out in America, there's probably 100 listeners in the East Coast of America too.
It's mad.
You know, and you'd ask for questions. You know, we always do a sort of wee question thing at the end just for a bit of crack, like, and American ones, you know, messages and stuff.
Which is brilliant.
So I'm guessing you prefer domestic or Japanese.
Then Jack Channerhan, I think you call him. He was actually worked for Titanic Dubs. Mm-hmm. He's a photographer for an NFL team.
Class. And
they were over doing Wembley around the time of Titanic Dubs. And was he doing something in Dublin or something? But he stayed with Connor Lee for a few days and he came up and done Titanic Dubs and all. So that was quite cool.
Class. That's awesome. Yeah. Things to get involved in, you know.
It's a crazy world, Andy. Crazy world.
I know, but it's great.
That's the beauty of podcast now. You're no longer constrained by like airwaves.
Yeah.
You can be anywhere in the world.
Well, you would never, I am sure you would never think about going on U105 to talk about cars.
Yeah, they're missing a trick.
But just on that, though, so all joking aside, have you ever, like, have any of the radio stations locally ever promoted the show? Have you been given a 5-minute segment to go and talk about Dubshed or something like that?
The only way we've been approached is, do you want advertising there by Cool FM? Trying to sell us advertising.
Yeah.
So. I don't know.
You don't need it. That is the thing. You don't need it. That type of media is.
I think traditional media, like Alexa, we're just talking about the comedians there. They've found their media, podcasting, and that has led to their careers. It's expanding.
Yeah.
Traditional media is slowly not becoming relevant.
Yeah.
Do you watch terrestrial TV? No.
Very rarely. Do you know?
Do you?
No, never.
No. There's traditional media. It's just
being
eroded.
Yeah, I don't really listen to the radio.
YouTube and streaming services.
Yes, yeah, totally. Mm. But it may be absolute 90s, maybe now and again, you know, from feeling.
Oh, absolutely.
You
have to
get
a
hard 90s, maybe. You know.
Don't buy papers anymore. You just click on news sites and pick up what you want. And
Belfast Live and
social
Facebook,
media.
Yeah. Get all the hot stories.
Read the comments. Oh, this country. Read.
Get a spicy one. It just turns into World War III, you know.
Yep.
Just follow Chris Sitter.
God help Chris. Well, Chris has been on the show as well. Chris is a good lad, getting a hard time in the in the media at the moment. But look, Nigel, really appreciate you coming on. We wish you all the best for the show. Looking forward to getting down to it.
Yep. Yes, thanks for having me on.
Dates, times, places. Tell the people all the things they need to know.
Yeah, 6th and 7th April at the Icon Exhibition Centre in Lisburn. You can buy tickets online or buy them at the gate on the day. It's 2 days and it's a good old show, I think. I think you'll really enjoy it if you're into cars. Even if you're not into cars, there's plenty to do.
That's in our backyard, and I think we'll get around that for sure.
Totally.
Yep.
Totally. No, looking forward to it.
And, follow us on Instagram, GTINI or Dubshed, and that'll keep you up to date with things that are happening, information, and future shows like the likes of Eurotreffen in July and Titanic Dubs in September. And thanks for having me on.
And your podcast Reload, any big guests lined up or anything coming on it?
Yeah, loads. No, this time of the year it's Dubshed, so things are just streamlined along, and we'll get to it eventually.
Brilliant.
Oh, yeah, I've enjoyed doing the podcast. I'm sure you do too.
We're here, but as I said, it's entirely your fault, and do it because you enjoy it.
You're welcome.
And I know, and thanks very much. But no, it is good crack. We do every time we do it, and it can be, it can be a bit stressful. What are we going to talk about? Are we going to run out of steam? And should we never do?
No, never do.
And we used to think, right, we need a topic, right? We'll have to, we'd each take a turn to do a topic, do something about modern history or something like that. And after about 50 episodes, we started to get feedback going, we like it when you just talk crap, do a bit of news. We were like going, yeah, maybe we'll not research topics too often now.
All that work. I spent all week and I still didn't want to hear it.
So we'd sort of mix it about and stuff, and try and keep it a bit differently,
Sometimes unstructured is the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think of them comedian podcasts, you're just listening to two people talking crap. People just like that sometimes.
Yep. Just as I talk to people, say, I put it on when I'm in work, or I'm out in the factory, I'm cleaning the car, I'm doing whatever. And
AirPods are the best invention ever.
Oh, they're great.
AirPods, podcasts, I consume podcasts and serious.
Either in the car or walking the dog, that's when I'm flat out on them. So I am. But here, Nigel, it's an absolute pleasure to have you, and I'll say good luck with that. I suppose we better wrap this show up. Guys, you can find us at RMS Motoring on places. Google it. On social media.
Best forum going, folks. Support your forums.
And remember, there's no warranty. This was sold as seen.
Best catchphrase. That's a great catchphrase.
I think we should have this one instead.